Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Who would like to start? Luo Fong asked, looking at the three strong beings in the distance. I am slightly weaker than Cha Man Emperor and Lily Emperor, said Thousand Rain Emperor. How about I take the first shot? Blade River Emperor, if you fight them first, you might lose pretty badly. Both Cha Man Emperor and Lily Emperor looked at Luo Fong, waiting for him to choose. If you want to fight, bring in the strongest one, Luo Fong said bluntly. Fair enough, said Thousand Rain Emperor. Cha Man Emperor and Lily Emperor looked at each other. And then, the world was filled with Cha Man Emperor's eerie voice. Lily Emperor and I are basically on the same level, he said. I can fight first. However, Blade River, do not underestimate us just because we are low-keyed. There are only 2 to 3 beast god-level emperors among humans who are stronger than us. Newcomers like Seven Blade Emperor are weaker than us. I surely won't underestimate you, said Luo Fong. He knew very well that among humans, many of the older guys maintained low profiles. Although these guys had probably been stuck in the last step for an eternity, some of them possessed intimidating, tremendous strength. On the contrary, rising newcomers like Seven Blade Emperor and Dream Fire Emperor may have been enjoying great fame, but if they couldn't even break through 100 million eras, they would fade to obscurity in future generations. That was simply the cruel nature of time. In midair, Luo Fong and Cha Man Emperor faced each other across a distance. Familiarize yourself with your godly body, said Cha Man Emperor. Let me remind you that we will be fighting in the virtual world. Hence, as soon as the fight begins, we will both burn our godly bodies and fight frantically. Do not be as reluctant to burn your godly body as you are in reality. Said Luo Fong, feeling his own virtual godly body. Boom. With vigorous power filling his body, his every cell comprised of unparalleled godly force, Luo Fong could, if he were willing, turn into an inexhaustible godly force in an instant. Even when his godly body was shattered to pieces, he could recover in the blink of an eye. His confidence in his own dominance and absolute control was much stronger than when he had been a sector lord. This was a godly body 100,000 times stronger than that of a sector lord. There are pros and cons, Luo Fong said, acclimating to this godly body. In real life, even with the assistance of the general soul, my spiritual force is only on the low emperor level. Thanks to my willpower, which is more domineering than most of the universe knights, I can ultimately rival pinnacle emperors. But right now, even without the general soul, I have reached the pinnacle emperor realm with virtual godly force. Coupled with my willpower and consciousness, I will naturally grow stronger. During his sector lord period, the primal force had combined with the spiritual force, becoming the strength of a world. During his undying period, they became an undying force. Now, with the virtualized undying godly force, he could strike a soul attack. Previously, in the real world, Luo Fong muttered, my strength of a world was too weak. My soul was nothing compared to the general soul, even after my soul amplification using the techniques that I inherited from Demon Note God General. But now, my virtualized godly force is amplifying completely once again. From the aspects of godly force and amplification, Luo Fong had, indeed, improved a lot. But there was a weakness. The supreme treasure, the star map, was gone. The power of the star map could have helped Luo Fong skip 2 or even 3 levels. Weapon. As he turned his palms over, 600 semi-transparent golden globes filled with mysterious engravings, which were the interpretations of Luo Fong's mightiest techniques, started to float above his hands. These were very common spiritual weapons Luo Fong made through the virtual universe. After all, only common weapons could be used during battles in the world of glory. Have you gotten used to it? Said Cha Man Emperor. Luo Fong laughed. Cha Man Emperor, he said, you'll have to exert your greatest effort to avoid a humiliating defeat. With a booming sound, Luo Fong's breath intensified. His every cell started to burn completely, and his strength became 1,000 times stronger in a split second. How long have you been cultivating? Asked Cha Man Emperor. A little friendly advice, don't mess around with us old tough guys. I will defeat you within 3 moves. Abruptly, 2 giant, blade-shaped claws appeared, covering Cha Man Emperor's fists. Buzz. The 600 golden globes floated as Luo Fong turned his hands over. Spirit Reader, said Cha Man Emperor. He frowned slightly, looking at Luo Fong in confusion. Before heading to the land of inheritance, Spirit readers should have been told by the members within their races that they would be at a disadvantage if they were to take the beast god path. Why was Blade River Emperor still a spirit reader? Luo Fong tossed the globes randomly. Through the intricate patterns on the 600 golden globes, the burning virtualized godly force activated the law of merging ultimate sources. Suddenly, an enormous beast god appeared high in the air. Since this move was unleashed by burning godly force, this beast god was more real, so much so that its scaled tail had infinitely formidable power. Humph! Cha Man Emperor snorted deeply. Boom! Cha Man Emperor transformed swiftly into a human-shaped beast god with thick shoulders covered in scale armor. Behind him, a giant, semi-visible beast god shadow also emerged. His eyes were fraught with madness. This powerful human being, quite genteel a moment before, had suddenly become insanely barbaric. Cha Man Emperor became a beam of light and pounced at Luo Fong. Thousand Rain Emperor and Lili Emperor watched attentively from afar. Blade River Emperor is indeed impressive, said Thousand Rain Emperor, pleasantly surprised. Though he is in a slightly unfavorable position, he has gotten used to Cha Man Emperor's fighting style in no time. They are running neck and neck. Hold on, Lili Emperor said in a soft voice. Cha Man Emperor thinks that Blade River Emperor is weak in techniques due to his short cultivation time. That's why Cha Man Emperor didn't use his most powerful secret technique from the start. Look, Blade River Emperor is losing out, isn't he? Humph! Now that their godly bodies are on the same level, it is the comprehension of laws, secret techniques, godly force amplification, experience, etc., that are at stake. Cha Man Emperor is perfect in those aspects. His secret technique is a pinnacle technique, and his godly force amplification is inherited from the demon note god general. Pinnacle techniques were not uncommon. Almost every universe knight could create pinnacle techniques, so those remarkable geniuses who had the potential to become universe knights would certainly put stricter demands on themselves. Particularly in the event that they couldn't break through the endless ages, those geniuses would put greater emphasis on the creation of pinnacle techniques. Under the instruction of good teachers, many talents from peak races had created pinnacle techniques over an extended time. Luo Fong had complimented simply because it had cost him a short time to invent his pinnacle techniques. It is not bad for Blade River Emperor to be on a par with Cha Man Emperor, who is. Lili Emperor trailed off, stunned. What? Thousand Rain Emperor was also stupefied. Blade River Emperor, he. But he couldn't even finish his sentence. To their surprise, Blade River Emperor's energy suddenly burst. Previously, the two opponents had been equally matched. But now, Blade River Emperor's strength seemed to surge, suppressing Cha Man Emperor immediately. In the air. With his gaze burning crazily, Luo Fong maximized his willpower in an instant. You shall lose, he said. Boom. With a rumbling sound that trembled the surrounding space, the scaled tail of the giant beast god pushed through time and space like a steamroller. The thrashing of the scaled tail was terrifyingly fast and ferocious. Bang! Roaring, the human-shaped beast god of Cha Man Emperor resisted the whipping of the scaled tail with his two claws. Bang! He was beaten so hard that his godly body deteriorated rapidly. Admit your defeat, demanded Luo Fong. Gaining momentum, Luo Fong attacked Cha Man Emperor repeatedly until the godly body of Cha Man Emperor vanished entirely. Luo Fong had won. Standing in midair, Luo Fong gazed at the dumbfounded Thousand Rain Emperor and Lili Emperor in the distance. In astonishment, he muttered to himself, I can't believe that I am pushed to this extent to exert my own pinnacle techniques. Compared to them, I still have the advantage of the beast god conception. While other heirs were arousing their pinnacle techniques using law comprehension, Luo Fong stimulated his by beast god conception. In terms of the comprehension of the combination law, Luo Fong belonged to the intermediate level of the third stage, but his beast god conception had already surpassed the third stage, reaching the threshold of the fourth stage. After all, Luo Feng's current beast god conception was incredibly close to the 21st level of Heavenly Bridge. Therefore, Luo Fong had great advantages with his beast god conception. Besides, Luo Feng's spiritual force amplification was also very strong and couldn't be considered a shortcoming. Still, Luo Fong couldn't help but sigh. At the beginning of the battle, before his willpower broke out completely, he had been at a slight disadvantage. In the end, his willpower, which was more incredible than most universe knights, had burst. If he were just a fighter, the benefits of strong willpower wouldn't have been obvious, but things were different for a spirit reader. Willpower was the commander-in-chief. Consciousness was the general. And spirit force was the soldier. The might of Luo Feng's willpower made his ability to control his spiritual weapon upgrade 2 levels, turning his unfavorable position into complete suppression over Cha Man Emperor. Cha Man Emperor flew over, looking at Luo Feng incredulously. I have lost. Blade River, how did you? I admit defeat, too, said Li Li Emperor. There's no need to compete. Li Li Emperor sighed, shaking his head. Blade River, you truly live up to your fame. We are convinced by your treasures as well as your strength. They both felt rather bitter. As low profile as they were quite confident in their strengths, for they ranked on the middle upper level in the Land of Inheritance, a place with numerous talents. It was obviously very difficult to improve once they had reached certain levels. In the aspects of willpower, consciousness, secret techniques, and godly force amplification, they had nearly achieved perfection. Yet they had still lost. Luo Feng had won in a landslide. It was only through the simultaneous outburst of 2 absolute advantages, my willpower and my beast god conception, that I could overwhelm Cha Man Emperor, Luo Feng thought to himself. On the distant Borhinia Island, the core land of the ancestral god school, the heirs who had sent Luo Feng invitations to fight were discussing this matter in small groups. They soon received their replies. Blade River Emperor is just a sector lord, after all, said one heir. In the virtual world, he must abandon every treasure he owns in the real world and rely on his actual strength to fight. Humph. Zhu Chong Emperor also yielded before, didn't he? It is estimated that hundreds of thousands of challenges to fight have been sent to him, replied another. How many does he dare accept? Ha ha. Well, he has accepted mine. What? He accepted. Lucky you. Perhaps he chooses the weakest ones to battle. Ha ha. But alas, he has also accepted mine. I have also gotten his response. He has agreed to fight. On the open-air square of the World of Glory, numerous strong beings of other races were flipping through their black books. Every one of them had received replies accepting their challenges. My challenge has been accepted, they said to one another. So has mine. Blade River Emperor has agreed to battle. Soon, frantic discussions were heard in every corner of the open-air square. The heirs of hundreds of millions of races of the universe were left in great astonishment. How many challenges has Blade River Emperor accepted? Probably tens of thousands. Numerous colorful aurora surrounded Borhinia Island, and the halos, displaying the mysteries of universe lore, constantly diffused up in the sky. Borhinia Island was home to palaces of diverse races. In one of the palaces were plenty sculptures of ancient swords. Suddenly, the gate to this palace opened. Out walked a figure. With eyes as sharp as blades and a mark of 7 battle swords between his eyebrows, this man, dressed in purple armor, looked like a battle sword himself. Shouted 2 chimpanzee-like beings from another race shouted at the figure from afar. 7 Blade Emperor. Blade River Emperor from the human race is quite something. 7 Blade Emperor, did you invite him to fight? 7 Blade Emperor had gained a treasure from the Land of Valuables and as a result had become moderately famous on Borhinia Island. Furthermore, the treasure had been found at a spot reserved by a super being of the ancestral god school for its inheritors. Mediocre as 7 Blade Emperor might have been in the battles in the World of Glory, he could be very intimidating with his 7 Blade inheritance, Beast God Great Being inheritance, and formidable ability to survive in the real world. His good luck even invoked jealousy from numerous great beings among the human race. Thanks to the 7 Blade inheritance, 7 Blade Emperor and Dream Fire Emperor had become 2 undying level talents of their generations to be trained intensively by the human race. The Beast God Great Being inheritance had made 7 Blade Emperor's status surpass that of Dream Fire Emperor among the human race. However, many races had no idea what the treasure was, since 7 Blade Emperor had kept the secret to himself. Even the automaton race, a peak race, only knew that he had gained some sort of inheritance. The Land of Valuables had numerous treasures left by the beast gods of the ancestral god school, including school-guarding beast gods and beast god cultivating great beings. As for what the treasure was, it was difficult to tell. The treasure was not necessarily related to the beast god path. For example, if Luo Fong reached a high status in the future, he could also put some of the treasures he had acquired by chance and didn't use in the Land of Valuables for future generations. Therefore, apart from 7 Blade Emperor and the senior staff of the human race at the ancestral god school, none of the other factions knew the extent of how amazing 7 Blade Emperor's actual gains would be. Otherwise, no one would have tried to assassinate him. 7 Blade Emperor laughed with blade light flashing in his eyes. Ha ha. He is also a human. Now that so many great beings of other races have challenged him, why would I invite him to fight? By the way, do you know how many challenges Blade River Emperor has accepted? If you don't know, what makes you think we would? All we know is the number is over 10,000. Then the two chimp-like beings each took a step greater than 600 miles and disappeared in the distance. Standing in front of the palace, Seven-Blade Emperor murmured to himself, over 10,000 battles? Blade River Emperor, the most incredible talent of the human race? I will never admit defeat to Blade River Emperor so easily. Having acquired his new treasure, Seven-Blade Emperor believed that he had outclassed Dream Fire Emperor, thus becoming the best of his generation among humans. But now, Blade River Emperor was in his way. During the fight for Sealed Star in the battlefield of the outer regions, you were so insignificant that I barely noticed you, said Seven-Blade Emperor. What a surprise that you are a sector lord. I know that you are madly accepting challenges to fight. For the first time, you have my full attention. I want to see your strength, for you are such a talent of the human race that even my teacher believes you are better than me. I don't know if you are overly confident or just insane to agree to engage in over 10,000 battles. Soon, you will realize that all the heirs here are peerless talents. Even I am only considered mediocre in the world of glory. You will soon come around to this cruel reality. In the heartland of the ancestral god school, the Thunder Beast God Palace was one of the 8 palaces for beast gods. The palace was magnificent in appearance, standing taller than 60 million miles. Inside the palace was a time-space containing picturesque scenery including rivers, mountains, deserts, ice fields, and snow. Deep inside those endless ranges of mountains, a repetitive sound erupted like breathing. The diameter of the time-space exceeded a light year, and every half filled it with pounding thunderbolts. And every who filled it with roaring winds, destroying numerous mountains, drying up lakes and rivers, and swirling up sand from the deserts. Luckily, there were no other creatures in the whole time-space. Who dares interrupt my slumber? Echoed a rumbling voice. Several peaks of those endless mountains were pushed upward. A gigantic, winged, 3-hoofed beast god covered in green hair longer than 50,000 miles, stood up. With every step it took, the earth shook and mountains collapsed. Why does the ancestral god make me manage the trivialities of the school? It growled. The other 7 beast gods have slacked off and gone elsewhere while I am the only one who has had to stay here for 100 million eras. Alas, how long have I slept? Only 30 million eras. I can leave only after staying for 70 million more eras. The time-space trembled as the hairy, giant beast god stepped forward. Come on in. Thunder Beast God finally spoke up. The time-space of the Beast God Palace opened, and the God General that had been waiting outside entered the palace. Greetings, Beast God, said a voice. I am Bloodfire God General. Bloodfire God General flew across the sky and landed on the peak of a mountain, looking at the Beast God, which was much bigger than mountains, from afar. I told you not to disturb my sleep unless there was something truly important, said Thunder Beast God, and the airflow that spurted from his nostrils wiped out the surrounding mountains. In the sky, more thunderbolts generated out of nowhere, as if expressing the fury of Thunder Beast God. Bloodfire God General saluted the Thunder Beast God and said, Beast God, this is an important matter. The operating system of Ancestral God School left the Bloodfire God General with no choice but to solve many problems himself. The beast gods were so lazy that they didn't even bother to connect their consciousnesses to the world of glory. Apparently, sharing their consciousnesses irritated the beast gods. Speak, Thunder Beast God demanded, looking down on the tiny Bloodfire God General. Having inherited the position of a God General, Bloodfire God General wielded strength that could rival common universe masters. As for Thunder Beast God, once it had inherited the supreme status of a beast god, its strength would become even greater. We have found a universe talent worthy of being trained by Ancestral God School, said Bloodfire God General. A universe talent? You woke me up just for this. Thunderbolts flashed in Thunder Beast God's eyes. He is only a sector lord, yet he can attack and kill an emperor limit, said Bloodfire God General, said Thunder Beast God. A powerful special organism? Thunder Beast God's eyes lit up. The Ancestral God School needed to cultivate great beings as well. For example, great emphasis was put on Juchong Emperor for his cultivation. Once the Ancestral God School appreciated the great beings, things would turn out differently for them. But the issue was, the Ancestral God School was extremely picky. It didn't even care about the so-called peerless talents of the universe like Ku Di. No, he is a human, said Bloodfire God General, But he was capable of killing an emperor limit even during his sector lord period, even hitting and killing from the front. Since he took the place of beast gods in managing Ancestral God School, Bloodfire God General had extensive secret knowledge. When it came to the lore of how the universe worked, the Ancestral God School undoubtedly held the most profound understanding. Kill from the front. This is against the law of the universe, said Thunder Beast God in a rumbling voice. With some extremely powerful treasures, it would be possible for a sector lord to kill emperors at the limit level by waging sneak attacks. But from the front, great beings of emperor limit level would defeat sector lords easily with their soul attacks and godly force attacks. According to the intelligence from the Ancestral God School, when he was in Ice Hell, he could conceal his breathing with an invaluable treasure, thus enabling him to fight with emperor limit, continued Bloodfire God General. And he could withstand soul attacks and substance attacks. His strength can even kill emperors at the limit level. There was light in Thunder Beast God's enormous eyes. He has received special treatment, enabling him to violate the laws of the universe in some respects without being suppressed by the law. Thunder Beast God knew very well what this meant. The universe was fair. Strength-enhancing armor such as General Armor and King Armor placed a great burden on one's body. For instance, only a body that was 10,000 times stronger than a sector lord force could put on the King Armor. Even the Golden Horned Beast could only wear it after cultivating the 9-volume manual. Hence, without the incredible 9-volume manual, it would be impossible to use General Armor, King Armor, General Soul, and the like. Without these items, Luo Fong, as a sector lord, was just a common peerless talent who could, at best, rival Ku Di but couldn't kill an emperor limit. Violating the universe operation law without being suppressed by it, said Thunder Beast God in a rumbling voice. From now on, I will pay close attention to him. Thunder Beast God, said Bloodfire God General. Because he has killed emperors at the limit level as a sector lord, he enjoys great fame in the universe. But he is a human, after all. What he has achieved is quite stunning, though no other factions understand the implications yet except the Ancestral God School. Ever since he arrived in Land of Inheritance, many heirs have invited him to fight. Just now, this human accepted all the challenges. All of them? Thunder Beast God was stupefied. Yes. All of them. Over 620,000 battles. 620,000 battles, said Thunder Beast God. What's his name? Blade River Emperor, said Bloodfire God General. Apparently, his real name is Luo Fong. Let's wait and observe the outcomes of these 620,000 battles, said Thunder Beast God. His opponents are peerless talents from all over the universe. I want to know how far this human being, who has run against the universe operation rule, can go. In the battle world of the world of glory, in the endless desert. Luo Fong was dressed in black armor and a pair of black battle boots and a pair of wings with scales. Wings were the most convenient way for Luo Fong to fly and dodge. Though I have not become immortal, I have felt the powerful godly body that is 100,000 times stronger than the force of a sector lord, said Luo Fong, looking at a shadow in the distance. A silver-grey snake-shaped monster was gradually rising from the desert. Its triangular-shaped head was high while its gigantic godly body appeared indistinct beneath the desert surface. With a trace of a smile on his face, Luo Fong said, "The first of my 620,000 battles." The silver-grey, snake-shaped monster slowly arose from the desert. With its triangular head high, it stared coldly at Luo Fong from afar and squeaked in a voice millions of times jarring than scraping glass. "Blade River Emperor," it hissed. "How many glory points do you have? Do you dare to bet with me?" Like a shockwave, the voice stirred up vast quantities of sand. "You should feel honored to be my first opponent in the world of glory," Luo Fong said, smiling amid the swirling sand. The silver-grey, snake-shaped creature glowered at Luo Fong. "Your first one? Ha ha. A pleasure for me, indeed. 3 glory points. Do you dare? I will choose 1 glory point to fight each of my rivals," said Luo Fong. Luo Fong was daring, but he wasn't stupid. Judging by his fight against Cha Man Emperor, he estimated that he could become one of the best among the third-stage inheritors with his beast god conception and mighty willpower. However, if he wagered high stakes and lost all of his glory points right at the beginning, he wouldn't be able to battle with other rivals. After all, he had accepted over 620,000 battles, betting 1 glory point for each battle was surely enough. 1 point. Ha. What I want is to win and acquire all your glory points so that the inheritors of other races can't battle against you, said the snake complacently. By then, all of Borhinia Island will know that Blade River Emperor was defeated by me, King Circumference. Luo Fong chuckled. Cut the nonsense. You're just my warm-up. Let's fight. Damn. With a jarring squeak, a stream of formidable current surged toward the sky, making the whole desert tremble. Very good, commented Luo Fong. Boom. With his eyes lit up, Luo Fong also augmented his breathing sharply and burned his undying godly body. Meanwhile, as his scaled wings fluttered, he turned into a beam of light and flew upward. As he flung his left hand fiercely, 600 golden beads flew across the sky. Simulated within the battle world of the World of Glory, the 600 golden beads were made from common materials that Pinnacle Emperor-level spirit readers used for forging weapons. As the beast god roared and King Circumference screeched, the battle began. Only seconds later, after a few dozen moves, the godly body of King Circumference was annihilated. No! King Circumference wailed. Its cold, snake-like eyes were fraught with fury. It refused to recognize that it had lost to a sector lord, especially under the conditions that they both fought in godly bodies. And then, its figure blurred until it vanished. Obviously, it had been kicked out of the battle world. Luo Fong had moved on to his second battle. During the interval between the two battles, Luo Fong looked at his black book. Indeed, one glory point had been added. 4 glory points, he said. The first rival that I chose just now ranked medium on the list of third-stage inheritors. Well, its strength was weaker than that of Cha Man Emperor. Without being pushed to his limit, Luo Fong had defeated his opponent. He still stood in the desert. Looking at his second rival in the distance, Luo Fong grinned. Here comes another one to give me their glory points. The battles continued. The open-air square of the World of Glory had turned into a state of commotion. At the moment, at least 100 million heirs, including 7 Blade Emperor, were connected to the World of Glory, for they had received word that Blade River Emperor had commenced taking on his challengers non-stop. What? One onlooker said to a defeated challenger. You lost to that Blade River Emperor? A sector lord. He has no treasures to turn to in the battle world, and you still lost. Haha. So useless to lose, another added. I hope Blade River Emperor doesn't lose all his glory points too soon. Watch me when it is my turn to fight him. In the beginning, the 3 great beings who lost one after another became objects of ridicule within their respective factions. Although the rest of the heirs sneered, they also put their guards up because they knew the strengths of their partners. Since the open-air square was large enough for nearly 100 million inheritors to gather there, forming smaller groups of hundreds of or thousands of heirs, the news that 3 heirs had lost consecutively spread quickly within their factions. But Luo Fong was fighting very quickly. Because his godly body fully recovered after each fight, he didn't need to rest at all. Before long, he had fought 1,000 battles in succession. After about 11 hours, Luo Fong paused his fighting and decided to take a break. It took me about 11 hours to fight 1,000 battles, thought Luo Fong. Well, the actual time consumed by each battle averaged less than 10 seconds. It was the launch of every fight in the battle world and the conversations with my rivals that wasted so much time. Usually, Luo Fong didn't bother to speak too much except for some trash talk such as, give me your glory points, or, die, or, don't keep me waiting. Borhinia Island. In front of Luo Fong's mansion. Blade River, said a voice from outside. Blade River, said another. After 1,000 battles, Luo Fong had left World of Glory temporarily. He was about to rest when he heard his name called twice. He knew the voices belonged to Thousand Rain Emperor and Cha Man Emperor. As Luo Fong took a step, he disappeared from the attic and arrived at the gate to his mansion, opening the door in person. It was Cha Man Emperor, Thousand Rain Emperor, and another human heir standing outside the door. 7 Blade Emperor? Luo Fong said in shock. Dumbfounded, Luo Fong looked at this great being of the human race who had come to visit him. He had met 7 Blade Emperor in the Star Tower before. For the first time, the 7 Blade Emperor attentively observed Blade River Emperor, the mysterious fighter who had stunned the universe. At first glance, Blade River Emperor was very common. But if anyone paid attention to Blade River Emperor's eyes, they would have felt the formidable strength harbored in his heart. The strength was the confidence brought by mighty willpower, indicating that Luo Fong was extremely self-assured. After Sky Wolf had revealed his identity, Luo Fong had felt relieved, and he had stopped hiding. Instead, he had become more fearless, ready to confront any obstacle. True gold feared no fire, and a blade became sharper after refining. 7 Blade Emperor, we meet a second time, Luo Fong said, with a trace of a smile at the corner of his mouth. Blade River Emperor, 7 Blade Emperor said with a smile. I didn't notice you last time because I only cared about the sealed star. Now, here I am to meet the legendary Blade River Emperor. I wonder if my visit is welcomed. Of course. Luo Fong smiled and moved aside. Please come in, my 3 guests. Haha. I told you that Blade River Emperor is a very amiable friend, said Thousand Rain Emperor with a smile. Cha Man Emperor, meanwhile, kept his cool. Soon, the 4 of them entered the mansion together and arrived at the reception hall, where the garden style was that of Jiangnan, China, Luo Feng's hometown. There were only old-fashioned wooden armchairs and a tea table in the reception hall. Luo Feng sat in the center. Though 7 Blade Emperor, Thousand Rain Emperor and Cha Man Emperor were confused about the layout, they noticed the 3 chairs alongside the table and sat down casually. Blade River, said Cha Man Emperor. How many battles have you accepted? I have accepted every challenge issued to me, said Luo Feng. 7 Blade Emperor and Thousand Rain Emperor were slightly startled. How many is that? Asked Thousand Rain Emperor. Moments after you entered the open-air square of the World of Glory, you had received tens of thousands of challenges. The number must have climbed up afterward. Besides, by consulting other factions, the great beings of various races in the World of Glory have estimated that you must have accepted over 100,000 battles. It's hard to count the accurate number because there are too many camps, but the number should be clear in a few days. Luo Feng smiled and said, that's right. I didn't receive too many challenges when I was new to World of Glory, but the number snowballed later. In total, I have accepted over 620,000 challenges. Considering that there are over 90 million third-stage inheritors, the fact that less than 1% challenged me isn't surprising. 620. Cha Man Emperor stammered in astonishment. 620,000? Thousand Rain Emperor's jaw dropped. Even 7 Blade Emperor was speechless for an instant. The number was horrifying. Everyone knew Cha Man Emperor had been here a long time, and he had accepted less than 1,000 challenges in all. When it came to fighting, the human race had to be extremely careful, because humans had already made plenty of enemies among the other races in the universe. You can kill emperors at the limit level as a sector lord, Cha Man Emperor sighed, shaking his head. You are so famous that it is believed that you are to be an unforgettable peerless talent. That is why those confident heirs of other races, no matter how cautious they are, want to fight you. Since the base number of total inheritors is over 90 million, it is to be expected that over 620,000 of them challenged you. We are here to congratulate you on your 989 victories during your 1,000 battles today, Thousand Rain Emperor said, laughing. Congratulations, said Cha Man Emperor. Earning over 900 glory points in one day, sighed the 7 Blade Emperor. That's sufficient to exchange for 9 inheritance opportunities. How I envy you. And this is only the first day of your battles. Luo Feng grinned but said to himself, I still lost 11 times. Although his strength was at the peak, it didn't mean that he was the best of the third-stage inheritors. Among the 1,000 rivals Luo Feng had selected on his first day, there were stronger and weaker ones, but one should have known the different fighting styles or secret techniques that could restrain them. Usually, it was the great beings with confidence who would challenge Luo Feng, and almost every great being on the top level on Borhinia Island had invited Luo Feng to fight. And Luo Feng had accepted every challenge. Luo Feng's heart was filled with pride. I don't care about losing a few glory points, he said. After combating against so many heirs of other races, the losses are worthwhile. The second day, Luo Feng continued fighting. By reading their black books, the heirs of other races could see Luo Feng's battle records. On the ranking list of third-stage heirs, the numbers of wins and losses were clearly listed. That day, Luo Feng fought another 1,000 battles. He did so again on the third day. 1,000 battles every day. Then Luo Feng would take a break after fighting and continue likewise the next day. He kept fighting in this way, and thanks to his extremely high winning rates, Luo Feng's glory points skyrocketed, stunning numerous heirs of other races. Soon, it had been proven that Blade River Emperor was one of the best of all 90 million third-stage inheritors. As a result, many heirs who had wished to humiliate Blade River Emperor started to deeply regret their decision to challenge him. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't withdraw now that Luo Feng had accepted their challenges. Even if someone chose not to fight, 1 glory point would be deduced automatically. On the open-air square of the World of Glory, millions of heirs flipped through their black books frequently, viewing Luo Feng's combat records within the ranking of third-stage heirs. Today was the third day since Luo Feng commenced accepting his challenges. He had fought 2,700 battles. 2,682 wins, 18 losses was his latest record. "Why is this Blade River Emperor so powerful?" asked one challenger. "It seems I am going to lose one of my glory points. I have always been very cautious when it comes to inviting others to fight in the battle world. I never choose anyone who ranks higher than me. I have tried my best to choose the weaker ones or someone on essentially the same level as me, at best. Thanks to my caution, I have collected 51 glory points till this day. Now, I'm going to lose a point just like that. At this speed, the Blade River Emperor must have collected plenty of glory points." "You don't say," said a great, sea monster-looking being with dozens of tentacles. He seemed rather bitter. "I think I am going to lose my glory point to Luo Fong as well. Who would have known that this human was so strong? Alas, the hundreds of thousands of inheritors that have challenged him to fight shall suffer great losses. Although I didn't challenge him, I could understand everyone's thinking," offered another. "How pleasant it would be to humiliate the legendary Blade River Emperor, who is such a powerful sector lord, even without any external assistance. He is absolute." Almost every conversation in the open-air square was about Blade River Emperor. The inheritors were incredibly irritated. Even as the heirs spoke, Luo Fong's winning rates went up sharply. 2,779 wins, 19 losses. 2,789 wins, 19 losses. 2,811 wins, 19 losses. 2,889 wins, 19 losses. The heirs, who had to fight so hard to gain one glory point, now felt rather embarrassed. If the Blade River Emperor had shown his strength in the world of battle from the beginning, never would so many heirs have sacrificed their glory points to challenge him. The heirs treasured their glory points dearly, but regret was futile. "Perhaps Blade River Emperor is just an outlier," said one heir, sighing deeply. "It's unusual to collect glory points in such a great amount. How could one ever hope to be like Luo Fong? Firstly, they would have to be famous among the billions of races in the universe. Few great beings had enjoyed fame to this extent. Secondly, they would have to be sector lords. Otherwise, the heirs of other races would not challenge them so readily. The heirs were not stupid. Only when facing sector lord level heirs would these peerless talents believe they could win. In the history of the ancestral god school, Luo Fong was not the only sector lord who had arrived at the land of inheritance, but few sector lords had done this. Among these few sector lords, 2 were very famous, but neither had willpower as strong as Luo Fong's. After these battles, Luo Fong's strength had convinced numerous heirs on Borhinia Island. Without any external assistance, Luo Fong, as a sector lord, was able to stand on the peak of the third-stage fighters during combats in the battle whirl. Some superpowers of the universe had noticed Luo Fong long ago. Once a large number of challenges began, many heirs sent the information back to their clans. In front of the magnificent Skywolf Palace, roaring sounds trembled the entire area, which was filled with flames as large as fixed stars. Kill, kill, kill. The master of Skywolf's eyes were fraught with malice. The human, Blade River Emperor, must not live. Lurking among the void before Skywolf Palace, the giant snake shadow was alarmed by Master of Skywolf's rage. His lore comprehension is surprisingly strong to rank as one of the best among the third-stage heirs. Master of Skywolf roared. He can compare himself with innumerable peerless talents of diverse races. He must be about to fulfill the third stage of beast god inheritance. And as far as lore comprehension, he is also close to that of universe knights. As long as he wants to, he can become an undying fighter at any time, continued Master of Skywolf. Once he has become undying, coupled with his plentiful glory points, his alarming amount of inheritance opportunities from the ancestral god school, plus with his comprehension, which is very close to that of universe knights, it would be a simple matter for him to become a universe knight. Then it will be difficult to have him killed. Master of Skywolf issued an order. "Hurry up. Devise a plan and report it to me. We must kill this human quickly." "Right," the giant snake shadow bowed and said respectfully. Suddenly, Master of Skywolf's green eyes shot out 2 green rays, landing on the giant snake shadow. "Go," he said. Boom. Removed from this time-space, the giant snake shadow arrived at a time-space beyond Skywolf Palace's control. Then it teleported and vanished. "Human," grumbled Master of Skywolf as he stood before the palace. His green eyes were constantly flickering with the intention to kill. Among the universe masters of the demon clans, Master of Skywolf was surely one of the most cunning and cruel. When I saw Blade River Emperor before, I didn't take him seriously because he was just an insignificant sector lord. Unexpectedly, he can still defeat most of the heirs in the battle world, even without the help of many treasures from the outside world. His lore comprehension is amazingly insightful, if he is assisted by a large number of inheritance opportunities. Master of Sky Wolf now deemed Blade River Emperor a major threat to demons in the future. In the mysterious and desolate star domain. In the void, a black ripple expanded outwards in concentric circles. At the core of the black ripple was an enormous black throne standing tens of thousands of miles tall. At the top of the back of the throne, 18 golden skulls of various races were embedded. The black throne was at the core of the endless black ripple that covered billions of miles of the void. Anyone looking upon this throne might have mistaken it for an endless sea of blood, with its 18 embedded golden skulls howling at all times. Master. A great being with 9 scorpion tails lay on the verge of the ripple. Its voice penetrated the ripple. Here is the news from our clan's heirs in the ancestral god school. The human, Blade River Emperor, has agreed to engage in hundreds of thousands of fights. Currently, he has only lost 19 out of 2,781 battles. He is, without a doubt, the best of the best Emperor Undying level inheritors on Borhinia Island. And it is predicted that he will be able to exchange his points for a surprising amount of inheritance opportunities. It is highly possible that he will become a universe knight in the future. Soul-penetrating laughter was heard from the black throne, causing the previously calm time-space to tremble and stirring up a black wave, as if innumerable black dragons were chasing one another and wandering in the void. A peerless talent has emerged from the human race, said the voice, and he is about to become a peerless great being. It is not us, the prison clan, but the human race's neighbors, the automaton race, demon race and bug clan, who are most anxious about this situation. Haha. Just wait and see. The assassination attempts targeting this human peerless talent are about to begin. I look forward to seeing whether this human will become a peerless great being after the brutal obstacles, or fail miserably along the way. Haha. Go. Go. The laughter from the black throne echoed in the time-space. At the end of the black wave, the great being with 9 scorpion tails bowed and vanished. The creatures of the prison race, one of the 6 pinnacle races, had their roots in a peculiarly dangerous place of the universe, but they had survived the perilous place and made a name for themselves. The physiques, appearances, and the life essences of these prison race great beings varied. Some were rock creatures while others were made of flesh and blood. But they shared one thing in common. They were all born in that peculiarly dangerous place. A place that they called prison, from which they took their name. Forged by numerous crystals, a cluster of magnificent palaces covered a region in several light years. Within the cluster of crystal palaces, planets, fixed stars, and neutron stars were like ornaments embedded everywhere. A high tower among the palaces stood 3.2 light-years tall. Its razor-sharp spire shot a bright ray upward into the depths of the boundless, starry sky. Everywhere this ray traveled, a hole would be pierced on any planet or fixed star. The power of this ray could reach almost the entire starfield before it completely declined. Many great beings resided within the cluster of palaces. In front of the tower, 2 universe knights stood guard. They had impeccable appearances and perfect bodies forged by crystals. Their heights were almost the same, and they both wore dark green ancient armor that emitted formidable force. Between their eyebrows, they both had a golden eye issuing invisible waves in all directions and supervising the vast areas around the high tower. Inside the tower. My lord, that is how the situation is, a great being said, kneeling in the hall. Above the hall stood a great being with a gleaming, crystal-cast godly body, dressed in a resplendent golden robe. As the golden eye between his eyebrows gazed below, it seemed that the heart of the universe knight below was pierced through. How interesting, said the great being, and though the voice was gentle, it possessed a persuasive power. The human race usually wins due to their large population, and every human possesses tremendous potential. How unexpected that such a talent has emerged among them. Issue my order that the human, Blade River Emperor, has been listed as an invincible level creature of another race. Yes, my lord. Powerhouses of the universe including as the 6 pinnacle races, the Space Beast Alliances, and the Northern Border Alliances had all received the news. At the summit of Thunder Island in the virtual universe was the Palace of Primal Chaos Energy. A blurry phantom stood before the palace. And then, he walked into the center of the hall and said respectfully, Primal Chaos City Leader, assassination attempts against Luo Fong are almost a certainty. How should we handle this operation? Please give us your instructions. Assassinations, said the voice of the Primal Chaos City Leader. Shadow, how can you be so sure? Startled, the blurry phantom said, Blade River Emperor has agreed to fight over 620,000 battles. And don't you know about the results of his latest 3,000 battles? I sent you messages long ago. Luo Fong has accepted 620,000 battles. The figure dressed in golden globe walked out from the primal chaos energy. It was the primal chaos city leader. As he touched the void slightly, 3 messages fell one by one. Obviously, he had read none of the messages the Shadow Emperor had sent him. This video will end here.